Especially those of you who contribute to the travel fund. Thank you so much. When I get a chance to travel, I get a chance to meet people in a way that I get to go to churches and really interact with folks, and it's extremely encouraging. Let me, before I tell you about the events, do something just so I don't forget. Could I mention to everybody that there are certain speakers, who I will not mention by name, who do not stay after a debate for an hour and talk to people and shake hands and sign books and answer questions and take picture after picture after picture after picture. There are a lot of people who do not do that. There have been a few times when I've had to leave right after speaking. Frequently, it was because I had to catch a plane. I was being taken to another speaking event. I think once I was sick and I just didn't want to become Typhoid Mary and share my disease with everybody else. But I generally do invest a lot of time in meeting with people. Even after, 2.5, 3 hour long debates, I'm exhausted. I still meet with people. The people at G3 will tell you that after the Trent Horn debate, there were 350 people in line. I was there for over an hour and a half talking with people after that debate. But there is what? You didn't turn a single person. No, not that, not that night. But there, could I suggest some rules of behavior when you're approaching a speaker who may be at the end of a very long day, may have been now overseas for 2 weeks, because it bothers me. For example, I don't sign Bibles. I didn't write it. And I don't want to put my name in there. I know other people do. I'm not trying to start a fight with anybody who does. But please just understand, I don't look so horrifically sad that I won't sign your Bible. Just go, okay, no problem. I've had people just whip out a piece of paper. Would you sign that? Okay. If you want to keep it in your Bible, I don't care. That's up to you. The point is, I feel uncomfortable signing Bibles. That's all. I prefer signing my books. I've actually had people give me other books from other people, and I don't care. But I just don't want to sign the Bible. So please don't give me the look when I do that. That's happened a few times. Don't ask me to do something that violates my conscience. Basically, that's Secondly, when there are 30 people standing behind you in line, I know you want to tell me about your second cousin who served a Mormon mission and how he found the Lord. But there are 30 people standing behind you in line. You may not see them, but I can. I can see the people who have to give up and leave because they've got a train to catch, they've got a plane to catch, they're taking somebody home, whatever it might be. You don't see them. I do. And so when I make a funny comment about the people behind you are about to lynch you, I'm very kindly attempting to suggest to you that you need to be concise. Not just for me, though I would appreciate that, but for your fellow believers who would also like to shake my hand and take a picture and maybe sign a book, and ask a brief question. And speaking of questions, could you make them concise too? Limit it to one. And don't do, if I had ever walked up to R.C. Sproul in my younger years, which I did, and said something along the lines of, Dr. Sproul, could you explain what you mean by chosen by God? And he'd go, did you read the book? And if I went, no, he'd simply say, well, read the book. So if you're going to come up to me, please don't ask me to summarize the Forgotten Trinity for you. Read the book. That's one place where George Bryson's line works. Read my book. And then on the other side, if it's 9:45 at night and they're starting to turn lights out, please don't ask me to give you a theological dissertation on the distinction between being and person, especially since I wrote a book about that too, or ask me to go more in depth on something like that. And please don't be disappointed. Believe me, all of these are examples that are used repetitively. Please don't be surprised when you come up to me and say, you know, you did a debate against a Roman Catholic once, and you quoted an early church father. What was that about? And could you give me the reference? I have shocked a few people because they actually gave me enough context that I knew what they were talking about. But I've literally had people who referred me to a debate from the mid-1990s. Okay? So from 25 years ago, you quoted church father that said something like this. What was that? What was that reference?
Hey, I get those phone calls.
Yeah. And you're just like, and then when I sit there and go, I don't have a clue. And sometimes, honestly, I've now done 173 moderated public debates. I have probably re-listened to or watched 15 of them. So it's been 25 years since I spoke those words. So what should shock and amaze you is that I would have any clue whenever anybody asks me a question like that. Not the hangdog looks I've gotten from some people that I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what reference you're referring to. I don't recognize the citation. Got no idea. I think most human beings would have the same response. There are a few people who only deal with one subject. So they repeat the same thing over and over again for 25 years. They might be able to respond to that kind of stuff. I can't. It's just not possible. And so please try to remember I am a human being. One other thing. Oh, please. This will make memes. See my hand? Stay at least that far away. Okay? At least that far away. I'd like another foot. If you would. If you can smell my breath and I can smell yours, you are way too close to me.
So the holy kiss thing is right out. Not happening.
Especially when I'm traveling overseas. Folks, you've got to understand, I am trying to keep from getting sick. You just don't know. I mean, this last January, I lost a month when I went back and taught in Owensboro. And it was the plague class. I ended up with strep throat and all sorts of stuff all at the same time. I lost a month of everything. I mean, just scratch January off the list. And especially if I've got stuff still coming up, debates and stuff like that, please keep your distance. I had a guy, I won't mention, I don't know the name, but I won't mention where it was. But I had a guy, and I'm backing up, going left, going right, and he's chasing me. I finally managed to get a chair between me and him. That was the only way I could keep him far enough away from me. But he was just in my face. And it's like, keep your distance, sir, ma'am, whoever, please. Don't you understand? I just consider it common courtesy. It's just common courtesy to do that. Keep your distance. You know, I'll shake your hand. And believe me, in my pocket, I have Sonapure hand sanitizer from Hammer Nutrition. Look it up. It's great. I give it away as Christmas presents. My family will tell you in their stockings will be Sonapure hand sanitizer. And as soon as I'm walking out of that place, I'm bathing in it. I have to. It's just, if I don't, I'm dead. So please try to understand. If I understand why some speakers, they're just, when I'm done, I'm out the back door, and that's it. I'm not going to criticize them for that. I understand. I get it. I haven't had to adopt that yet. My immune system is still fairly fully functional. And when churches rent me a bike while I'm there, it stays even more fully functional, which is what we did in Sydney. And then doing the running in Melbourne. That was very, very helpful. That helps keep you going the way you're supposed to. It's the change that frequently weakens your immune system. But please try to understand, if it's been a whole day conference and this is the last session, I'm brain dead. I'm tired. So one last thing. I'm walking out. I think it was Saturday night in Melbourne. Kofi, totally different context, but all I can think about as I listen to Dr. Oakley 1689 is the Police song, Don't Stand So Close to Me. Rich is singing it in the other room. Notice he did not turn.
Don't stand.
Okay, he did now.
Don't stand so close to me.
I'm just crushed any Police song at all. But anyway, because I'm a Christian, so I didn't know. He said I used to be a heathen. Okay. Anyway, thanks, Kofi. Appreciate that. I should be watching Twitter a little bit more close because there's some interesting things. Anyways, what was I talking about? Oh, yes. I'm leaving. It's the same day I had the debate with Abdullah Hamimi, which, because of scheduling issues, Melbourne's a beautiful city. Interesting weather. Constantly changing. It was really cold there when I ran one morning. They're way much farther south than Sydney. But we had to go in the city to Scott's Church. It's called Scott's Church. To have the debate with Abdullah Hamimi. We couldn't have it out at the theological seminary where the church meets because of a scheduling conflict. So I've had to go into the city. I've had a debate with a Muslim. Again, spent half an hour, 45 minutes greeting people, shaking people's hands. You can go on Twitter and find the pictures. People are constantly taking pictures, putting them on Facebook. I think, was there something in between? I don't remember. There might have been. And then we have the evening conference session, which was on Islam. We had Muslims show up, one of which Dr. Bernie Power teaches there. Brilliant guy, by the way. Had dinner with him. Wonderful guy. I reviewed a debate that he did on the dividing line a while back. And so let me put you, if you've been looking for some other sources, Bernie Power down there in Melbourne, look for his stuff. Support him. He's a good man. Got great background. Had a great dinner with him at the only Mexican place that I went to when I was down there. Actually, it was actually fairly good. But Bernie Power had been telling us about this one Muslim that they had to get a protection order against because he was so aggressive. And he showed up with about 5 other guys. And as has so often happened, the Muslims show up. They're looking to be able to complain about something that I said. And I'm talking about reaching out to Muslims. They got up and left because there wasn't anything to respond to. I was accurately, fully responding. I was representing Islam with quotations from the Quran and very accurately saying what Islam actually teaches and then giving a very clear response to it. And so they got up and left, and then they demanded a place to pray and ended up getting into the police ended up being called, not because of violence, because they wouldn't leave. So that was an interesting situation. Nothing came of it. They didn't interrupt. They didn't yell, scream, nothing. They were downstairs. It wasn't an issue for what we were doing upstairs. So that wasn't a problem. But I was aware of that. I had talked with some folks about that. I've been greeting people. I have my backpack on my back, and when I'm traveling, that backpack. By the way, did we get that other one ordered? I bet you didn't. Okay. Anyways, there's a new backpack out that I'm getting because I would be stupid if I didn't, given what I do, given situations like this. You may have seen it on Facebook. Anyways, my backpack is heavy when I travel. I've got connectors. When I go into a church, if I want to project something, HDMI, VGA, audio stuff, there's all sorts of stuff. I've got a lot of stuff in my bag. Unfortunately, the security guy in Melbourne unpacked it completely and allowed me to repack the whole thing. It's happened a few times. Anyways, it's heavy. And I've already been talking with folks for a long time. I'm walking out of the room. Dr. White, I need to talk to you. I turn around. Here's this young fellow. I knew immediately that this was going to be interesting. Because by the third sentence, Michael Brown's name comes out. And so he has a word for me that I need to be rebuked for my friendship with Michael Brown. And I'm listening to him talk. And he never says anything about Michael Brown's belief in God, Trinity, deity of Christ, gospel, justification, penal substitutionary atonement, resurrection, prophecies. No one's going to go there because we're all dependent upon going to his materials to look up stuff. Anyways, nothing. It was all because Michael either will not condemn by name X, Y, or Z, or is friendly toward this person who's friends with this person. It was all the association thing. So his lack of discernment means he's not a believer, and I need to condemn him. So I listened to enough of this, so I've got a good idea. And so I said to the young man, and I went through all the list of the things I just went through. Michael's confession of this, doesn't make any, all of that is overthrown by his lack of discernment. Is that right? Well, yeah. So I took a step toward him. I was taller than him, which is unusual. And I said, I have one question for you. Do you have perfect discernment? Do you have perfect discernment? Now, you can see where I'm going to go here. If I'm going to stand here with my backpack on my back, exhausted at the end of the day, and have any meaningful conversation, then what I'm hearing him saying is he has the standard of discernment that will allow you to have a true gospel profession. So I need to know what this is before we can have any meaningful discussion. If he admits that he does not have perfect discernment, then we can have a meaningful discussion as to how you obtain a perfect level of discernment and how he knows that the level of discernment that Michael has is insufficient to be a Christian. So he can tell me the Holy Spirit's going to give you this level of discernment, and here's how. So I say, do you have a perfect level of discernment? Do you have perfect discernment? He would not answer me. I repeated it. Do you have perfect discernment? Would not answer me. I said, thank you very much. Good night. Turned around and walked off. Interestingly enough, at least two people actually ended up talking to him after I left. They saw what happened. There were still a few people standing around. They saw what happened. They ended up talking to him. And I said, do you know what church he was from? Because I just get the feeling people like that don't go to church because they can't find enough people who are as perfect as they are to be able to go to church with them. So if they are in churches, those are the people who end up leaving churches. Seen it way too many times. I can name names of this kind of perfect discernment people that will only be around people with likewise perfect discernment. So then there's those folks too. And the thing is, this is the second time something like this has happened recently. They always wait to be the last person. You're walking out. The only reason that guy came to an entire 2-hour presentation and then 45 minutes talking to people, so nearly 3 hours of his life, he's stalking me. He's not there to hear what I have to say about Islam. He's stalking me just to deliver that word. And this is happening more often. And so some people say, do you have anybody with you while doing this? I don't, but I probably should. I probably should communicate to churches that if I'm going to be greeting people, then you probably want to have someone that stands with me. A deacon, former football player, current cop, something along those lines, that just stands there and sort of keeps an eye on things because, that probably would be wise. Yeah.
I've actually done this for you.
Yeah, you have.
And I noticed, was it Zach that was with you in Utah?
Oh, yes. Well, Zach and Luke were there, but Zach has made it his mission in life to make sure that Jeff and I live.
Well,
so, yeah.
I think specifically about G3 2 years ago, and then I go back to the Shabir Ali debate back at Biola.
Yeah.
And Eddie Dalcour standing.
Eddie was there, so was
you.
Bo Boyd.
And I would say in each of these, if there are people who will do this for you in the future, the key here is to stand behind you so that no one can come up behind you.
Yeah.
And let you do you with what you can see in your field of vision. And don't let anybody, come up from behind. And then if you get to a point to where you're ready to walk away, that's when you stand in between.
Yeah.
I've always tried not to interfere with you, to get in between. Let you make that decision as to when that security time is. And if you start walking away, you say thank you, and you start walking away, and the guy starts keeping at it, that's when you step in and distract. Don't be aggressive, just be easy about it, and it works. So
that's probably something that I need to start doing in the future, and that would just be wise. So that